if you came close here to that corner, you will find a clear example of tube drilling machining.
This internal drill to keep that inside.
Everything. It's not just that. It was also used here and here and here. But then they can erase the markings.
But they left the marking in the internal corner.
Some of the markings are left because come here.
You can forgive them for that. It's incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult.
Look at this one too. And then here's another edge of another one. You see this one?
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
And then here's another edge of another one.
So they had a line. They had a line of
like that. It was being how that it was emptied. Because I know this stone. Look at it. Look at the formation. If you came here with a chisel, you're gonna smash it.
Yeah. You have to wear it down to drill it and wear it, machine it.
Yes. And if you have your compass here and you put it in the center, you will see how the whole thing is aligned with the coordinate direction.
Why the internal cut, Yusuf? This. Why the internal?
This is the symbol hutib. Like the ones we saw today in the tomb, and it was actually used many times as an offering table, but not this one, and not other ones that we also can see in the Egyptian museum. We can see them made from very special types of stones, exactly the same combination we see in the pyramid. We can see them made from quartzite or pink quartzite. We can see them made from white calcite or rose granite. All the tough types of stones and all the ones that contains lots of crystal or quartz. Anyway, how did it function originally? Unfortunately,
where would the
obelisk? I can't imagine, but I can believe that this device itself, because it's made from white calcite, had a radioactivity. If this was globally or universally, I don't know. But was it between this site and the other that's close, or I don't know. Was it between Earth and the universe as a portal? Everything is possible, but first we must prove that it was not made originally to serve as a like offering table, and then we can really search for the other possibilities. Otherwise, the official story will remain that this was an offering table, and everything we say will be just like it. So unless we prove that this was not an offering table, nobody will accept the new label that we're going to try to find.
This is actually 3 separate pieces, or 4 separate?
4 to the sides, each one is a separate, and then the one in the center.
The circular one.
And my father also said that this one is actually located on a shaft.
Wow. See the birds of China still incredibly close again. So the obelisk that sat on top, Yusuf, the obelisk that was on top
of that one.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
There's nothing sitting on top of this.
I think this is the thing.
This is a finished.
This is the device, yes. Wow. Look at the height now.
Oh, it's
you cannot call this marble, because marble is not that same formation of white calcite.
There's more crystal content in this than anything.
Exactly.
High crystal content.
Yeah, which is very rare also.
To get pieces that actual size, Yusuf, just to find that raw block, that raw material would be difficult.
This is comparing to other, see, here is another clean cut on the disc.
Oh, look. Oh, I see that. Yep.
There are some things, my friend, that when you hear about it, it drives my mind like, you know...
Crazy.
Crazy. Really. There is the pyramid of Hawara, and this one is supposedly related to the Middle Kingdom, and they say that it was like not a very good material, because most of the core of it was made from mud brick. The original thing is a mound from limestone, and the tunnels and shafts and everything in it is made carved in the limestone. It's just all this was covered with mud, and then the mud was again cased with limestone. But the most important part, there's 2 mysteries in that pyramid. The first one of them is that this pyramid of Hawara had what they called secret sliding doors, that when they enter the shaft, the end of the chamber, there was no exit, except that one was in the ceiling, and it was a little bit open, so they realized that there is a sliding door in the ceiling. And then they went from this one to other tunnels until they found another room with another ceiling sliding door, and then to another, until they reached the focal chamber. And as Petri would describe it like it was their reward to find this focal chamber. Why? This chamber was made entirely from a single solid piece of yellow, transparent quartzite. This chamber was like 12 feet by 8 feet by 10 feet, or like, it's a whole chamber. The sliding door only that used to be on top of it weighs between 40 and 70 tons of yellow transparent quartzite. And this is only the door on in the ceiling. So what kind of a secret door that weighs 40 tons anyway? Because if you know that it's a door, how can you push 40 tons? Unless there was a great force that allowed this dynamic design to be active. And then this force, I will think alone only of vibration that creates this vibration that will allow this sliding door to move. So,
where is this chamber?
Huh?
Where is this chamber?
This chamber is in the pyramid of Hawara in Fayoum. That they digged, unfortunately, they digged a canal for irrigation beside this pyramid, and it filled the whole pyramid with water from the inside, so we cannot access it anymore. So the last person who examined it was Petri, 1880s. So this canal was digged like in like 100 years, not more than that, for irrigation. And now you have to really do something for that, because it's filling the whole pyramid from the inside. And this focal chamber that's in it was housed in the limestone with a frame A ceiling and sliding doors. And imagine 120 tons of yellow transparent quartzite is the weight of this chamber after it was carved, after they made it hollow from the inside. And why did you make it from a single solid piece? And where in the world would you find a piece that weighs hundreds of tons from yellow transparent quartzite? I have never even seen the stone before. I saw normal quartzite like the one we see here. I saw pink quartzite, they call them also operating tables in the museum. But I have never seen that material that they call yellow transparent quartzite. That's something like citrine or something. And had a sliding door that weighs 40 tons and supposed to be secret. But interesting enough, front of that pyramid, we're actually going to see Fayoum on our visit, so I'll be able to show it more for you, but maybe you haven't been to Fayoum. So the front of it, there was another construction, the one I was telling you about that the Roman Empire dismantled, is the labyrinth that contained 3,000 chambers of different styles. Had granite and basalt and also the combination of high good quality stones, and the highest type of limestone I've seen there actually also. All what you see is also there is like broken pieces here, broken pieces there. But until the time of Pliny, which is famous historian,
Pliny the Elder, yeah?
Yeah, he mentioned one fact that nobody looks at. When he mentioned that just by opening a door in the labyrinth, a sound like thunder will be generated. Wow. And they think like, everybody just ignores this part from what he said, because they wanted to see the measurement, how the shape of the... But what he mentioned was a very, very important fact, that the resonance in these chambers and this labyrinth is connected to the pyramid. It's not separated from it. This is the temple that used to be right front of it, and we're going to see it when we go to Fayoum, inshallah. But the labyrinth definitely created enough vibration for these sliding doors to be much easier to move. I can only imagine it this way, and I can't see any other way of creating 40-ton sliding door. They call it secret sliding door because they think it was made to serve as a tomb and the old story. So this is one of the cases like we really need to do something about that pyramid to remove this canal from there, or do something so we can really look into this one. And other discoveries were made in Fayoum, that some of the machining in it reaches, the mistake in it is nothing more than 1/1000 of an inch. This is top of machining. Like if you bring 1 inch and you put 1,000 line in an inch, the mistake in machining will be 1 line of this 1,000 line inside 1 inch. You know, even Germans cannot do that.
Very good.
Very good, bro. Very good.
Yeah.
Here you have quartzite stone.
Yeah.
And you have leftovers from granite, white calcite, the two different types of limestone, And actually there used to be also pieces of diorite.
So this really isn't a popular place for many people to come to down Yusuf.
No,
Very few people get to see this.
They should come and see this.
Wow.
If we look here on some of the basins, we can still see the marking of tube drilling machining. Not just these ones here, because it was also made by tube drilling, but even the inner parts of it. It's a little bit eroded, but I'm positive we can still see because I have examined another one.
So these are all alabaster as well?
Yes, white calcite.
White calcite.
Yeah.
Wow. Look how smooth the cores are. Wow, that is. Check that out, Roger. Ancient machining, right? Wow.
I mean, what sort of have to do?
I can see why you want to go to the Petrie Museum now, Yusuf.
Yeah.
You're looking at the opposite of the cores.
I think he collected the most fine collection that reflects
Ancient
high-tech machining.
Where is that?
This,
We
if you go to
see-
the University College London, the Petrie Museum, it's the fifth best Egyptology museum in the world. It's rated anyway.
In London.
Yeah, in London, University College London was one of the hidden gems of the world, Roger. And what you have is, I can show you a video. I'm going to give it to Yusuf. But
Look
basically,
at this one here, for example, and here. These are marking of tube drilling machine.
Tubes, yeah. So basically, they had a core of granite or something like that, a circle, and they used it as a tube. And they basically wore the stone down, Yusuf, yeah?
Hmm?
They wore through the stone. They wind
It had to be hollow. It had to be
a hollow
like
tube.
a tube,
A
yes.
hollow tube, yeah?
Hollow tube, yes, made from a material that's of course much more solid than the stone.
Pink
And then
granites and
The result
basalts.
that what you picked from Petrie Museum
Yeah.
was the pieces. That's
Of-
the inside of the drill.
The drill, yeah.
It's not the outside. So when they drill, they bring out these cores that like the one displayed in the Petrie Museum.
But the thing about the Petrie Museum core samples are that they have a spiral groove on them, showing the rotation. And that the spiral
Yeah.
grooves are so close together, it tells you the rate that it had to go through pink granite, which is extremely fast.
Exactly.
And to go through pink granite extremely fast, we don't have technology to do that. You know, the evidence is there. You can go and
If
look at
it's
it.
not very stable, this machine, and very sharp, it will never create the drill
Yeah.
and that beautiful accuracy. We have one here to look at. But there are more,
I can't believe these basin stones, as they're called, are just lined up here,
yeah.
just sitting
Well, this
here.
isn't their natural position.
No, they're just
that's not
lined.
their natural.
The Antiquity Service just lined them up then, Yusuf. Do we know what their location was? They
They were
were.
picked from many locations around here, but you can still see some of the limestone basins. There is few over here, and some of it is still attached to the construction. So there used to be channels that's connected to these basins
To feed them the water?
to feed them or to feed from them,
Wow.
both ways. And this will.
What do you think, Roger? Incredibly interesting.
Some of them used to have copper sheets from the inside, not these ones, but the ones in Abu Sir,
Wow.
which was probably made from limestone. I learned it from also Christopher Dunn,
Yep.
how to realize the power tool
Marks.
mark.
Tool marks, yeah.
Yes.
Looks to be some sort of ornate decoration here as well, Yusuf.
Is it
Ornate.
decoration?
Well, maybe a function, technical.
Of course. There was nothing made from
Something to.
Everything was functional.
Wow. Well, what we would call decoration, but
Yes.
yes,
Maybe there was some
But you
kind
would
of-
imagine
maybe there
that
was some
other
kind of-
locking mechanism, yeah, like a locking mechanism, pins and slots.
maybe, or other types of metal like electrum or gold, which can also work on ionizing the liquid inside here.
That's the thing about putting metals with crystals and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
then feeding
That's
it,
why I
feeding
also-
with water, making it electrolytes.
Exactly. The same thing is in the other basins that we looked at a couple of days ago in Sankara.
Wow.
When we saw that, when I talked to you
The
about what
two
we
double
believe
spouts.
the handles.
Yeah.
Yeah, the handles and the double.
the Imhotep Museum. Wow, fascinating. So incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
They're quite impressive chunks of quartz or calcite.
Calcite crystal.
Calcite crystal.
Quartz is the crystallized
Version.
silicon.
Silicon.
Yeah. It's much more solid
This.
than this. Yeah. So if you actually try to accomplish this by hammering, you're gonna smash it because it doesn't cut
Clean.
clean. Yeah. It breaks apart as you see
You can
there.
see.
Fragile formation for crystallization. So if you came here, for example, with a hammer and a chisel, you cannot guarantee a smooth surface like that. But once you hammer here, it will break apart, no matter how sharp your tool.
So this absorbs liquids.
This absorbs liquid, of course.
That's unusual that they would.
So if it was blood, it was going to be dark.
Wow.
It's a ridiculous idea.
Doesn't make sense, yeah.
Nobody witnessed or saw anything. It's just like, what are these for? Somebody can imagine. Many people can imagine many things.
Wow,
We
incredible.
don't. When we imagine something, we say, I say, like, I imagine this could be this or that. But then when I see a result of a disc saw machining, I'll say this was done with a disc saw machine. There's no need to imagine here because the result comes only from one type of machining.
Wow.
I can tell you exactly how it was made, but I don't know exactly how it was functioned.
Yeah.
Because there are ones made from quartzite, there are ones made from limestone, and there could be different
Versions.
function for each and every one of them.
Wow.
The marking of tube drilling also, you can see it very clearly.
Yeah, come here.
On the inside here.
Wow.
I remember there used to be edges.
Yeah, you can see the spiral grooves.
The inner part of the crystal was taken away also using tube drilling. You know, like, it's a dream for me if we can find a site that hasn't been used as a quarry and has all the elements that's been in it, even if it was transformed.
Buried in the sand. It's your only,
Valid, yeah, it will
it's
be
your only
valid, of
hope.
course. Could be anywhere here, under that hill. This one here, as I told you, and this one here, there used to be others in lower levels as well. I can show to you also on the Hotebra itself, that it was also created using tube drilling machining. At least a big part of it was.
The thing is, there's so many of them all looking the exact same. It's like a machine made them all.
Yeah, the
It's like-
same scale.
It's like a product
The
line.
same size.
You just think product line when you see them all
Yeah,
laid out.
you didn't like pick, look at them.
The cal
They're
came out of
exactly the same size.
Same
You're
width.
not just choosing random pieces of white calcite and changing them into pieces. You're making them all in the same measure.
Production line, that's all I think when I see them.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the other ones made from limestone. شكرا يا حبيبي.
We are in the Serapeum. Unbelievably insane amount of engineering that has gone into this place. This is bizarre. Totally bizarre. Sarcophagi. Missing. Here we are. $70 to 100 tons, depending on the size of these. Absolutely gigantic engineering. Who have we got here? We have Yusuf from the ancient school of Kemet. What are you doing in there? What are you doing in there, Yusuf?
I'm having a sound bath.
You're having a sound bath. Well, let's join it. Let's join it.
Okay.
How do we, Hey. I can't believe the size of this place, Yusuf. Hey, Yusuf, take the camera, please. Yusuf, this engineering is about
This also is a layer of dust.
Yeah.
It's even more shiny.
Wow. It looks like the scratch mark.
Why would you polish it from the inside?
I mean,
Nobody was supposed to be looking at the inside.
so
Look at this. Rose and black granite are part of the same element. It's the same amount of quartz.
wow. These guys loved granite, didn't they? These guys just loved granite. This is by far the most sophisticated piece of engineering I've seen in stone. For this size, for this actual size, not a small artifact, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Size doesn't matter.
size doesn't matter to the ancient Egyptians. But
It seems like any size, no matter how megalithic it is.
the bigger the better. The bigger the better.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that you have the parallel wall. Parallel. Parallel. Parallel.
And also, the strange part is that it can interact to many different notes at the same time.
3 corners.
Yeah.
3
Like
corners.
here, the sharper note will do, or because we cannot get the deeper one.
But like Chris Dunn says, Chris Dunn says, it's the fact you have to measure it as well as make it. You have to know you're right. You have to be able to measure it.
I'm not gonna bother even working with this kind of stone unless I know I have the tools to. Come on, we cannot finish this like this today with the best tools.
Yeah. Ali, everybody listening to Capricorn TV, you gotta go to the Serapeum. You gotta go see this stuff. And you gotta go to this place as well. The Kemet School of Ancient Mysticism. These
You
are
see, I consider the toning and the sound in this devices. I don't see it as a spiritual activity, but I see it as an
Technical.
energetic. Yeah,
technical, energetic but technical.
Yeah. It's more like an energy exercise to me. So I don't look at it from the
Like drinking water replenishes the body.
exactly. And it's many times that when our body itself is made out of almost water,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
And we know that according to this Japanese man who made the tests about sound and water
Yeah.
and how it
Reacts.
reforms like the crystal shape in the water. And this is exactly what happens, or I feel that that's exactly what happens to us. That what happens to us is that when we hit the notes of resonance, like our body that's made generally from water is reshaped somehow. Like the crystal formation in the water in our body takes a better alignment somehow, which will allow our bodies to become like better channelers, or as you can call it also. That's why I like to call it, and I like the phrase sound bath because it's
Sure.
it feels like you just took a big shower or something.
You're in a sound wave.
Yeah, you feel lighter, you feel clear. It's just a feeling you get. It's like
Energetic.
nobody can convince me otherwise because that's what I feel.
The scale of this, Yusuf, the scale of the engineering here, 24 boxes,
Yeah,
70, at least
24. Yeah,
70 to 100 tons each,
yeah.
perfectly engineered in 3 directions, parallel, top, bottom, left, right.
You see, there is hardly any bumps you can feel here.
I can see the reflection from the light when I flash.
Yeah.
The light
You know, I always like to give a good example
almost like
of one of the statues here in Egypt
yeah.
that was made in the modern times. It's made from rose granite and made by a very famous Egyptian artist. His name is Mahmoud Mukhtar. So he's like, he created this statue known as Nahdat Masr, or the Rise of Egypt, and they didn't make it from a single solid piece. It's not as big as this box anyway, but they didn't make it from a single solid piece, and to polish it, to give it this shiny surface, they had to send it to Italy.
They have to send it
To Italy to get this shiny surface, and it hasn't been 100 years, and this shiny surface is
gone.
or like going to
Dull.
yeah, it's like khalas. Parts of it has already become rough again.
And this is shining.
This has been thousands of years, God knows how many, and it's still shiny, even that it was buried in the water, in the sand with lots of humid and mist or the moisture.
Do you have any function for these? Can you think of any function?
Oh yeah, resonance,
Resonance?
and of course the alignment with the North Magnet pole. There is
That's the key thing.
this is I feel it is the key to solve many question marks that we see.
We see that
Everything is aligned with the North Magnet pole. There had to be some kind of use for the fields of electromagnetic or electromagnetic induction.
We just seen at the Imhotep Museum that they had a double spout as well. This electromagnetic double spout.
Yeah.
And the Red Pyramid this morning.
Take this on a bigger scale. The underground limestone aquifer, which is all the shafts and tunnels and chambers, will also upgrade this. That already the location is built on the large ley lines.
Yeah.
And then the running water in different streams will also create electromagnetic fields and pulse. And then the alignment with the North Magnet pole, that's another
Supercharged.
Super. Really.
Charging and then supercharging.
Yeah. So you can think of anti-gravity, you can think of wireless energy, and all kinds of levels. Plus the other types of stones, like this is naturally, and all this is natural, but then that type of stone which contains more than 70% quartz in it, and the white calcite crystal, then we talk about radioactivities. We all are aware of the Project HARP.
HARP technology.
Yeah,
Tesla.
you know, I believe HARP technology is based on pyramid studies.
Yeah.
That's my belief. It's just
Me too. Yusuf.
yeah.
Me too.
To New York was like ionizing the atmosphere and creating a wireless connection portals. All this is the real knowledge here. It can't be made by primitive tools.
I know one thing. Whoever made these boxes had high technology, very sophisticated, very advanced. Who knows what type of tools they had? That's irrelevant. It was high technology. We can't. I wouldn't want to try and. If you
I don't want to challenge myself.
And this is what you do. You work with stone.
I work with stones. And just to arrange that piece of stone is going to cost me a fortune. Like just to bring the block of stone itself will cost like $50,000 to $100,000.
Just to get it here.
Yeah, no, just to get it, and then to transfer it from Aswan to here. That's another. It's crazy. Unless you really know what you're doing with this, unless you're going to be really benefiting from it, you're not going to do it just for symbolism's sake.
They did it 24 times that we know of.
At least.
At least.
Yeah, and there is also one more thing. All the explanation that this was a symbolic tomb or a real tomb for the Apis bulls is based on translating the writings. And they believe that the most valuable books of these, not the one that like reflects the high-tech, the best machining, no, but the one that has more writings. And that's why one of the chambers that we're going to be visiting here in the end, they repair the steps to go down so you can see the writings.
Wow.
And wow, what are writings? You're going to just come see that it's like a child hold a piece of, some kind of a tool and hardly scratched the stone. And they want me to depend on this to date and relate and identify that megalithic box.
Doesn't seem fair.
It is. At least from that point of view, we need to research. See how it vibrates?
The whole chamber. Wow.
Sometimes you don't need to make a loud voice.
Yeah,
Just hit the note and allow it to vibrate. Just where I put my hand for a while, I turned it back to the
black polish of it.
Yeah.
It is actually like a mirror.
There is. I love this. And they didn't add that polishing liquid. Oh, I didn't tell you. But when we go to the other one, let's do it actually.
Let's do it.
Do we know those lifts?
Yeah. Iset, Isis, Neter, Hur, Nebu, the Horus name. Nusir, Ra, An Khadijat, the eternal seed or gift of life, or the eternal life gift. Nusir Ra is supposedly the name or who they relate the whole place to, this temple of the sun. He has another temple and a pyramid over there also related to him. And we can see that the writings also are not so,
Not so perfect there.
not so perfect, yeah. Especially that they used to draw it first and then carve it. It's not very special.
Yeah, it's not. There's other objects that aren't quite. They look like tool marks. These ones.
These look like
Here they
hand
hardly
Yeah, hand
scratched
chisels.
that stone with any symbols. You can hardly see the symbol on
You
it.
can hardly see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same there again.
Here you can see some of the basins made from limestone, and each one has 3 drills in it. Again, the style of quarrying, creating millstones.
These millstones were important
Very important.
for the quarrying.
It was like every like little village would have a special spot where they do the grain and stuff. Then these stones were needed. It's like the core of the factory.
Wow, here we
These
are.
ones, yeah.
Wow, unusual again. We've got 3 holes.
Yeah. We examined this, me and Stephen Miller, once, and we thought like why would this have 3? And why
Wow,
not 2?
that's
Why not just
incredibly
1?
interesting. And then again, you have it repeated again. Same again, 3 again.
Yeah. So we thought that this could be actually like some used to receive in, and some used to leave out, and one was a bulb or something like that. But
Valves
they
and
could not
mechanisms.
all be pouring in or all pouring
Same
out.
again over there. They're nothing but 3.
Yeah. Even these ones are exactly the same size.
Same, different product line over here.
Yeah. Very ancient. You can see how the stone itself isolated from each other.
Weathered. It's been weathered for God knows how many centuries.
God knows.
Two curious features as well, Yusuf, at the back, and you've got 2 channels as well, unusual channels. Yeah, you've got 3 holes, but the 2 outside ones have a channel feeding them.
Yeah, it was probably connected to copper pipes.
An ancient hot tub, maybe? Ancient hot tub?
That's what the Romans used. They used these once in Alexandria, and they made them actually a bathtub.
Wow. They just recycle
But
them.
it was, of course, one of similar to these basins. See, I still don't believe that the Carrara marble we find in Alexandria was brought by the Greeks or the Romans, because these people got so used to recycle the stones they found on the sites. Plus, there are other evidence that supports my theory, because we know that these shapes that they took from basalt or Carrara marble, they made it as a stand for the statues. They usually put the statue on. So I examined one of them, and I saw that to house the statue on top of it, they used the poor style of hammering, while the piece itself is a clean cut, very similar to what we see in the Giza Plateau, even if the type of stone was different. So, but they all say like anything that's manufactured out of Carrara marble, that has to be Roman. I don't think so. The Romans dismantled and quarried the site of the labyrinth that used to be 3,000 chambers on that site. They quarried almost all of it, or there could be a layer that's still buried underground. But these people did not bother bringing the stone from the other side of the sea to this country, because if this what they do, they wouldn't have the culture of the sword and occupying other countries to take their goodies. If you're able to create and construct these beautiful artifacts, you wouldn't need to go and put war on other countries so you can take the goodies. If you can build and prosper, you will build and prosper and protect, not go put war on other countries. And we can see example for them in every site. Look, this part here also, this piece for example. Come on. This is part of the Roman use, when they used to also reuse these stones to make also create this drill bigger and make it like another type of the millstone.
Yep, smaller, long and narrow.
Different types. Yeah, this one was just another device
Small.
to smash the stuff in it, like herbs and stuff, or spices.
Good
And the
one.
other one was the wheel,
Round and flat. Yeah.
round and flat.
This one tall and narrow. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Let's go up. There.
It's hardly able to see it. Yeah?
Feel the surface far from the writing and feel the surface of the writing.
Wow, rough.
Yeah? And far from it,
Wow, smooth.
smooth.
That's
okay
so
there?
smooth.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
the crystal, yeah.
Wow.
So,
Poor carving, isn't it?
very, very poor.
Very, very poor indeed.
Hardly scratches, yeah.
It's such a perfect, smooth finish.
Yeah. Come, let's examine the tube drilling machine in the Hotel Park.
This is the prized possession of the site. Undoubtedly.
The device that lasted, and there's nothing else like it.
Red granite everywhere here.
Yeah, that's because it was, the whole case here was from red granite.
Wow.
The writings, this is the symbol Netterhet. Per Netterhet, the house of the place of the Netter.
Looks rough again.
But the label is interesting.
Wow.
I know writings were added later.
You can
It's
tell.
rough, but it's added perhaps based on some level of realizing the truth of the site. This is the symbol Netr, which was represented as God, but we believe it was nature. Het means the place. We still use it in the local language until today. Hetta means peace. And this is the symbol Per, which means house. How I would imagine this based on knowing that Netr is not a god but a force of nature, that I will say that the original location itself is a power point, is a
House of nature.
is a vortex point.
Yeah, it's saying it's a house of natural energy.
Exactly. So it's a natural energy spot. It's a piece of natural energy. And then Per will be the house that houses this force of nature. That's how I can
Relate it.
yeah, or imagine the meaning, the true meaning of it will be, as they were aware of some of the activities of it. Because using this site not as a burial in the dynastic time, that means they were aware of something. This is only the priesthood of Ra, and they say they created it to increase the worshipping, or they were aware, of course, of some of the powers of the site.
It was built by the original people who knew what it was. I mean, long before the old.
Longer before the writings were added. I believe so too. Here they left us some glyphs that shows how it looked like.
Wow.
This is one of the advanced
Wow.
drilling.
Yusuf, look at that.
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
You can see the patterns. So the piece of granite in Petri Museum is what's taken out from here.
Yes.
Not this one, of course, specifically, but the result of that. So the tube drilling is not going to just drill the whole thing. It's going to drill and take also the core from the inside. So that means, which is actually more hard, because now you need to have your tube cutting from both sides, not just from one side that's smashing and smashing until it reaches the end of the drill.
Incredible.
No, it's sharp enough to cut from the outside and from the inside as well.
You can see how close the lines are. They're within a millimeter of each other.
Yeah.
It tells you the rate.
Plus, also there is always like a layer of like wax is on top of that, which can show that effect of like heat maybe. But you can see this darker color, like creamy material over the granite.
And what's this?
This is the symbol of water. This is here how some of the writings can tell us how the site looked like, because this is the mastaba that we see here, and that's the obelisk that used to be on top of it.
Right.
The green color in it doesn't have to be coming from copper chisels, but it could be that inside these glyphs they put a layer of copper, so it becomes shiny.
Enameling.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And the writings read here Er, which means the heart. Ra, this is the symbol of Tim or atom. So the complete heart, or like the complete heart here can be translated in many ways. So emotionally, when he represents heart, this can be a wish. But also based on understanding the origin itself and what it does, we can also look at it as a meaning of pulse. And that will make more sense to such a device.
Maybe it's a connection of the pulse of the earth to the
To
heart
Earth,
of Ra,
to the sun.
To the sun.
Of course, there is always that connection. Every beam of light, see, they labeled even the beams of the light differently. So they labeled also the stages of the sun differently. We have Khepar, Ra, Un, Aton, and Amon. So these are the different 5 stages. We have the nurturing beams of the sun, and this is known as Bastet. It's also a female Linus figure, but it's the nurturing energy of the sun that helps the plants to grow, and and we have the destructive force of the sun, and that's Sekhmet, which is like the solar flare of the sun. Did you lose anything?
Yes, my telephone.
You can ring it.
Was
It was on top of that one.
Oh, this one.
Yeah,
There's nothing sitting on top of this.
I think this is the thing.
This is a finished.
This is the device, yes. Look at the height now.
Oh, it's
You cannot call this marble, because marble is not that same formation of white color size.
There's more crystal content in this than anything.
Exactly.
High crystal content.
Yeah, which is very rare also.
To get pieces that actual size, Yusuf, just to find that raw block, that raw material would be difficult.
This is comparing to other. See, here is another ring cut on the disc.
Oh, look. Oh, see that? Yep.
There are some things, my friend, that when you hear about it, it drives my mind like,
Crazy.
crazy. Really. There is the pyramid of Awara, and this one is supposedly related to the Middle Kingdom, and they say that it was like not a very good material, because most of the core of it was made from mud brick. The original thing is a mound from limestone, and the tunnels and shafts and everything in it is made carved in the limestone. It's just all this was covered with mud, and then the mud was again cased with limestone. But the most important part, there's 2 mysteries in that pyramid. The first one of them is that this pyramid of Hawara had what they called secret sliding doors, that when they enter the shaft, the end of the chamber, there was no exit. except that one was in the ceiling and it was a little bit open, so they realized that there is a sliding door in the ceiling. And then they went from this one to other tunnels until they found another room with another ceiling sliding door, and then to another, until they reached the focal chamber. And as Petrie would describe it, like it was their reward to find this focal chamber. Why? This chamber was made entirely from a single solid piece of yellow, transparent quartzite. This chamber was like 12 feet by 8 feet by 10 feet, or like, it's a whole chamber. The sliding door only that used to be on top of it weighs between 40 and 70 tons of yellow transparent quartzite. And this is only the door in the ceiling. So what kind of a secret door that weighs 40 tons anyway? Because if you know that it's a door, how can you push 40 tons? Unless there was a great force that allowed this dynamic design to be active. And then this force, I will think only of vibration, that creates this vibration that will allow this sliding door to move. So function originally, unfortunately,
where would the
I can't
obelisk?
imagine, but I can believe that this device itself, because it's made from white calcite, had a radioactivity. If this was globally or universally, I don't know. But was it between this side and the other that close or far? I don't know. Was it between Earth and the universe as a portal? Everything is possible. But first, we must prove that it was not made originally to serve as a like offering table, and then we can really search for the other possibilities. Otherwise, the official story will remain that this was an offering table, and everything we say will be just a myth. So unless we prove that this was not an offering table, nobody will accept the new label that we're going to try to find.
So this is actually 3 separate pieces, or 4 separate.
Four to the sides, each one is a separate, and then the one in the center.
The circular one.
And my father also said that this one is actually located on a shaft.
See the birds of China still incredibly clouds again. So the obelisk that sat on top, Yusuf, the obelisk that.
If you came close here to that corner, you will find a clear example of tube drilling machining.
This internal drill to keep that inside.
Everything.
Everything.
It's not just that. It was also used here and here and here, but then they can erase the markings.
But they left the marking in the internal corner.
Some of the markings are left because come here.
You can forgive them for that. It's incredibly
No
difficult.
problem.
Incredibly difficult
Look
to
at
do.
this one too. And then here's another edge of another one. You see this one?
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
And then here's another edge of another one.
So they had a line. They had a line of.
Like that. It
can
was
actually-
being how that it was emptied. Because I know this stone. Look at it. Look at the formation. If you came here with a chisel, you're gonna smash it.
Yeah, you have to wear it down to drill it and wear it, machine it.
Yes. And if you have your compass here and you put it in the center, you will see how the whole thing is aligned with the coordinate direction.
Why the internal cut, Yusuf? This. Why the internal?
This is the symbol Hutib, like the ones we saw today in the tomb, and it was actually used many times as an offering table, but not this one. And not other ones that we also can see in the Egyptian museum. We can see them made from very special types of stones, exactly the same combination we see in the pyramid. We can see them made from quartzite or pink quartzite. We can see them made from white calcite or rose granite. All the tough types of stones, and all the ones that contains lots of crystal or quartz in it. How did it?
Where is this chamber?
Huh?
Where is this chamber?
This chamber is in the pyramid of Hawara in Fayoum. That they digged, unfortunately, they digged a canal for irrigation beside this pyramid, and it filled the whole pyramid with water from the inside, so we cannot access it anymore. So the last person who examined it was Petrie, 1880s. So this canal was digged like in like 100 years, not more than that, for irrigation. And now you have to really do something for that, because it's filling the whole pyramid from the inside. And this focal chamber that's in it was housed in the limestone with a frame A ceiling and sliding doors. And imagine 120 tons of yellow transparent quartzite is the weight of this chamber after it was carved, after they made it hollow from the inside. And why did you make it from a single solid beam? And where in the world would you find a piece that weighs hundreds of tons from yellow transparent quartzite? I have never even seen the stone before. I saw normal quartzite like the one we see here. I saw pink quartzite, they call them also operating tables in the museum. But I have never seen that material that they call yellow transparent quartzite. That's something like citrine or something. And had a sliding door that weighs 40 tons and supposed to be secret.